Just Bugging.
Hey guys, it's G-Man for Just Bugging. We've got the motor in, the fresh rebuild for the rail buggy that came down from Tallahassee. I've got the new carburetor here, the Weber progressive carburetor, and all my parts to install, and we're going to upgrade it to an alternator. So I've got to do the same as I did on the trike, drill into this and make a concave in it for the fact that the choke gets way too close and it'll rub up against these. So I've got to make a concave and use some high strength adhesive and glue it right in there, and it'll look fine. You'll never notice it. I'm going to do little things differently this time with installing the intake, you know, and carburetor, and making sure it clears the alternator and the alternator stand, and which side needs trimmed and which side doesn't. You know, I've ran into issues along the learning curve, so to speak. So I'm going to do things a little differently. Let's see. That's all the way in there, and you can already tell that it's much too long for this. So we know we're going to be trimming here. Now, the other thing in question is the alternator. He had, of course, a generator on it last time. Ain't that pretty? Yeah, buddy. Chrome, chrome, chrome.
Why is everything chrome?
Everything is chrome in the future.
Oh my.
He wanted chrome, he got chrome. Let's put that bad boy on there. So, I need to put me something to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. I had me a little bungee cord. Maybe this will help. I don't want to put a strap on it right now. There, now that's not going anywhere. Here comes the rain. All right, my next clearance issue is going to be where the carburetor is going to sit up against this. So let's get this about where it's going to go.
This thing got bad.
Yeah, it did.
Don't make unnecessary journeys. Don't take risks on treacherous roads. And don't swim in the sea. Incredibly, people have been spotted in the water here in Blackrock and Salt Hill, both today and yesterday.
Hey guys, it's really coming down out here. I hope you can hear me. But I got this all mocked up because I've ran into issues before as to which side you need to trim. I just wanted to show you a few things that you want to watch out for. I went ahead and mocked the alternator here. I see that I have some space here I can play with. Now that if you look at the intake, your accelerator cable is going to come out behind the intake. That's not good. And this clearly not going to reach the studs, as you can see down there. So I know I'm going to be doing some trimming, but I need to think about where I need to move this for other reasons. So I'm going to have to take off some here. So I'm thinking I can go over. Probably easy to say safely take a ½ inch off this end and get this to move over some. And that will solve my accelerator issue there, where it's not going at so much of an angle to get to the linkage. And then when I do that, I'm going to have to come over here and then figure out how much to trim off this, if any, and most likely there's going to be some over here too, so that I can get this to plant squarely on there. I've already got the other one mounted down firm, you know, just on some masking tape, so that I know this is stationary and will work with everything else. Another thing you have to deal with this Weber or 3236 carburetor is the fact that the choke is in the rear of it. So if you have a regular squirrel cage, there's usually a concave there that allows you to get that 1/18 of an inch at least they want, you know, and I'd rather have more than that. But I find out where I go ahead and mock this and set this down there, and then set my carburetor back on it and determine where that's about to touch the chrome. And then I'll drill a hole out and I'll make it a big hole here, and I'll insert a concave piece into the squirrel cage. Not going to hurt anything, and that will allow enough room for the wire to get plugged in and for that not to touch anything. And of course, most likely my concave will probably be some sort of plastic, which I found last time something worked well. So I'm going to do some trimmings and see what I get and see if I can take care of these issues I see. But that's what you got to do when you set up one of these brand new kits. All right guys, this is what I came up with. I took about a ½ inch off this side, and see, I can still go back and forth a little bit. I want it to be loose. When these two are planted down and tightened, I want to be able to move this intake by myself. And then I know that these are down. You know, you don't want to go back for an intake leak, especially with all this stuff you're going to pile on there. Well, I'm not touching the alternator there. And actually, I'm not all the way down. I'm just holding everything up with tape. but see, I'm about 1/8 of an inch away from it, so I'm still going to come off a little bit. So that's as far as I can go with that. And then you can see I'm just going to have a slight angle for the tube for the accelerator cable. And then you can see that this intake is not near where it should be. I'm going to end up taking probably about 1/4 inch or so off of this side, maybe a half, but I doubt it. So you get the gist of it. Make sure that this, once you bolt the side intakes manifolds down, be sure that this intake in the center can move back and forth. Of course, you won't have the carburetor on it because you already mocked it up like this. So about that much on the right, and of course these are bigger heads on these. So all right guys, I got it done. So on the passenger side, right hand side of the motor, I took off a 1/2 inch here. And over here, I took off about 1/4 inch over here. And then I went ahead and tightened this down and tightened this down. And now it can go up and down freely, and it actually has a little bit of side to side move. So that'll be my little bit of movement I said about getting it close to the alternator but not touching. And then you can see on the other side of the cooler, so it's about as good as you can get for this large carburetor and an alternator to get that cable as close to a straight, your accelerator cable. It's going to be a little bit over, so. But it'll work. And then now I can take all this back off. And what I need to do next is put the squirrel cage on the back and get an idea of where that spot's going to be for the hole. And that should do it for my modifications. And it doesn't take long at all to put it together. It's just making sure you don't make the mistakes here that it's not going to run right. And you know, I've done it and had to go back and learn the hard way. Try not to do that, but everybody does it once in a while, I guess. All right, guys, so I set it down, the squirrel cage as to what I call it. I know I don't have my 10s on, but it's sitting right where it needs to be. And you can see I took a little bit of dielectric grease and stuck it on the end of this and see where it touches. And then I take my little punch and punch a hole in there because that's where I'm going to be drilling, and I'm going to put a concave in it. But you can see basically, I mean, the motor is sitting on the stand and the carburetor is still kind of canted forward. I want the carburetor sitting level, and they say it's as close as hell anyways, like 1/8 of an inch. Why not just give it a concave? It's not going to hurt anything. So, and you see where the throttle cable is coming out, about as good as you can get right there. So it's just going to come up a little bit here. All right, so that's where my hole needs to be, and that's how you do it. If you want to use that cage, you can. Just a slight modification. All right, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I drilled the hole right there, and then I made a larger hole around it, and that's where I'm going to grind it out. I feel a fan blade that's right here on the bottom side of that hole, so I'm gonna have to go through that, and then I'm gonna find something to sit in there, and I'll just cut the edge out here where this is gonna lay in there and give it enough room for that to sit right in there. It'll be perfect. You won't even notice it. All right, guys, there's my holes, and see where the fan blades are in there, or whatever you want to call them, the vents. Grind about, you know, 1/3 of an inch off of that, or a 1/2 inch where my concave can go in there. So I've got to find something. If I have to, I'll go to Ace Hardware and dig through drawers and stuff until I find what I'm looking for, or I'll walk through Lowe's and look in the electrical department or something. I'll run into it like I did last time. Alrighty, let's see what I come up with. All right, so I'm happy with that. It's not going to have any contact with any metal. So I like where the cable comes out with the accelerator. It's going to be nice there. And I've got the side-to-side motion here for any, you know, for clearance for the alternator. And of course you can see this goes up and down, and these are planted. So now it's time to get out the gaskets and do it for real. Hey guys, didn't take long at all. So I pulled this back up, gasket down, put my intake manifold gaskets down, and see, I can still, you got the slight movement back and forth. These are both planted down on the gaskets and tight. So this is what you want. And see, now I can take this, take my alternator and set it right here. You know, like that one over there, it's going to be canted a little bit like that. And see, I can move it over, and that's probably where I'm going to put it. All right, so now I can get on with the dog house that I call the squirrel cage. Hey guys, this is where I'm at. It's looking really nice. My little breather over here. I like that. It was the only place it could fit. I had to modify this bracket here. It was supposed to come off of this nut, but because of the cover, I couldn't do it that way. So see, it's got to go there and there. I'm gonna have to take the exhaust back off after the break-in. There, go like that. I'm gonna take so see, I had to come off of this and go onto that nut. Really like the way it's all going in there. I've got good clearance here, carburetor from the alternator. It's a pretty good straight shot right there for the accelerator. I'm really happy with the way that came out. Took me a while to get this to sit right in here. You know, you got to keep playing with that fan and make sure you're not going to have a noise here. And then you think you don't have it, and then you put the belt on and you crank it up and you find out you do, but you couldn't tell because the belt's on it. And you know, it kind of pulls down on it. It might change it in here. I mean, with this Chinese tin, it's not as good quality as the original is, of course. So once you take it off, it could be warped, you know, and then when it goes back on, you got to get it back where it was. So I think I got it right now. I like my little spot there for the choke cable, if you can see that. I got the camera right. See, it's not going to touch anything metal, so that's fine right there. So it can be done. I showed you how. Yeah, I like that the outer lip flat black there, and looks really sharp. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna get the wires in it, get all that set up, my top dead center, fill it up with oil, and then I'm gonna put the Stinger exhaust on it. And I gotta go get the fuel pump off of it, get my starting station all set up here, because it's gonna, you know, it has electronic fuel pump, so I'm gonna use the one on the vehicle. I used mine on another vehicle. So alrighty, I like it. Alright guys, this is where I'm at. I got the plug wires in, the firing order's all correct. As you can see, I've got my belt on and everything. Looks sharp. I really like the way it's coming out. Now I'm gonna fill it up. We use Valvoline VR1 2050 with high zinc. We actually break it in with that. And I know it's expensive oil, but right after the break-in, we dump it. We drop it out of the oil overnight, let it sit overnight and drain, and then we fill it back up with VR1 again and let it roll. And then after 1,000 miles on it, it needs to come back, get dropped again, and valves adjusted. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna fill it up with oil without the exhaust in the way, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put the exhaust together. Then I'll set up the engine stand, and tomorrow we'll do the break-in. All right, there you go, guys. That made a beautiful motor, didn't it? It's gonna be one badass rail buggy. I've got to say that. What I need to do is, I noticed that while I was setting up the firing order, I noticed that the points wire, if you can see that, but the points wire is fried. I mean, look at the rusty contacts. I'm gonna have to change the points tomorrow, but I've got some Bosch points, brand new ones, so no biggie. Get that tomorrow morning. It's late. I'm gonna call it a day. So tomorrow's the break-in for the rail buggy. Hey guys, here we are with the rail buggy motor, getting ready for the break-in. Just check the oil pressure and about to get it started and run it through the process of breaking in the cam. Guys, you can hear me. We got it running now. Ready for the break-in process to begin.
Hey, so the break-in's done?
Oh yeah, it's all done. Everything went great, but you might notice the ugly yellow pulley there. Well, his is so worn and it's kind of bent that it wobbles back and forth, and this is worn, so it started dripping, you know, just weeping a little oil out the bottom of this because it doesn't, you know, it's just worn out. It needs to be replaced. So I took another one and put it on there to make sure and ran it again. It didn't leak. So this has to be replaced, and we noticed some pitting inside on the alternator pulley, but he's going to go to billet for this, and you have to switch to billet for this for the belt to fit right. So other than that, everything's great. Another thing, I hear a slight noise in the fan in here, so I'm going to have to mess around and try to get that right. These Chinese dog houses, you know, they can warp a little bit, and then when you take it off, it's going to move the way it wants to, and then you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get the fan right. So I've got a few things to do to get rid of that fan noise in there. So other than that, sounds great, runs great. We're not going to have any problem to get the right pulleys in. So another successful jet buggy build.
Hey guys, it's Dalton. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about the rail buggy. Stay tuned for the video of us putting the engine into the rail buggy and going on for a test drive. So if you guys like the video, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and have a just buggin' of a day.